नो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। हरि ओम, salutations to all. We will do some chanting. The Bala Mukunda Ashtakam is when the whole world goes into dissolution, there is one Akshayavat which is there, in Prayagraj. That Akshayavat is there. One leaf of that Akshayavat, on that Lord Krishna is there in a baby form, and he lifted his toe and is put in his mouth. That is that form called Bala Mukunda Ashtakam. And that form and the glory of that Lord is described in this. Kararavindena padaravindam Mukharavinde viniveshayantam Vatasya patrasya pute shayanam Balam mukundam manasa smarami Samhritya lokan vatapatra madhye Shayanamadyanta vihina rupam Sarveshwaram sarvahitavataram Balam mukundam manasa smarami. Indivarasyamalako malangam Indradidevarchitapadapatmam Santanakalpadrumamashritanam Balam mukundam manasa smarami. Lambalakam lambitaharayashtim Shringaralilam kitadantapangtim Bimbadharam charu vishalanetram Balam mukundam manasa smarami. Shikye nidhayadhyapayodadhini बहिर्गतायां व्रजनायिकायाम् भुक्त्वा यथेष्टं कपटेन सूक्तम् बालं मुकुन्दं मनसा स्मरामि। कलिन्दजान्तस्थितकालियस्य फणाग्ररङ्गे नटनप्रियन्तम् तत्पुच्छहस्तं शरदिन्दुवक्त्रम् बालं मुकुन्दं मनसा स्मरामि। उलूखले बद्धमुदारशौर्यम् उत्तुङ्गयुग्मार्जुनभङ्गलीलम् उत्फुल्लपद्मायतचारुनेत्रम् बालं मुकुन्दं मनसा स्मरामि। आलोक्य मातुर्मुखमादरेण स्तन्यं पिबन्तं सरसीरुहाक्षम् सच्चिन्मयं देवमनन्तरूपम् बालं मुकुन्दं मनसा स्मरामि। बालं मुकुन्दं मनसा स्मरामि। बोलिए श्री बाल मुकुंद भगवान की जय। Guru Ashtakam we have done 48. Tatakim, that one. No. Shariram surupam yathava kalatram yashascharu chitram dhanam merutulyam manaschenna lagnam gurorangri padme tatakim kalatram dhanam putra pautradi sarvam griham bandhava sarvametadhi jatam manaschena lagnam gurorangri padme tatakim Shadangadi Vedo Mukhe Shastra Vidya Kavitvadi Gadyam Supadyam Karoti Manaschena Lagnam Gurorangri Padme Tatakim Videsheshu Manyasvadesheshu Dhanyaha सदाचारवृत्तेषु मत्तो न चान्यः। टुगेदर। मनश्चेन्न लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं क्षमा मण्डले भूपालवृन्दैः सदा सेवितं यस्य पादारविन्दम्। मनश्चेन्न लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं यशो मे गतं दिक्षु दानप्रतापात् जगद्वस्तु सर्वं करे यत्प्रसादात्। मनश्चेन्न लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं न भोगेन योगेन वा वाजिराजौ न कान्तामुखेनैव वित्तेषु चित्तम्। मनश्चेन्न लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किम् अरण्येन वा स्वस्य गेहेन कार्ये न देहे मनो वर्तते मे त्वनर्घ्ये। मनश्चेन्न लग्नं गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं गुरोरष्टकं यः पठेत् पुण्यदेही यतिर्भूपतिर्ब्रह्मचारी च गेही लभेद्वाञ्छितार्थं पदं ब्रह्म संज्ञम्। गुरोरुक्तवाक्ये मनो यस्य लग्नम् गुरोरुक्तवाक्ये मनो यस्य लग्नम्। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। This is composition which says that if the mind does not abide at the feet of the Guru, then what is the use of anything else? One may have great beauty, power, name, fame, so many things. But if the mind does not abide at the feet of the Guru, no use. Okay, so we were on Sadhana Panchakam. First verse we completed last time. And the instruction was Nijagrahat Turnam Vinirgamyatam. Quickly leave the house. Meaning drop the attachment to the people, drop attachment to doership, and this body is the house. Meaning drop attachment to this. Nobody left the house, no? Now what to do? If I leave the house, then what to do? Should I start just becoming a wandering monk? No, no. Satsang is important. So the next line, next verse comes. Sangha satsu vidhiyatam bhagavato bhaktir dridhadhiyatam shantyadi parichiyatam dridhataram karmashu santyajyatam sadvidvan upasrupyatam pratidinam tatpaduka sevyatam brahmaikaksharamardhyatam shrutishiro. Vakyam samakarnyatam. So when one drops the attachment, you see the law of the mind is very simple. It does not know what not to do. It only knows what to do. So if I withdraw the mind from something, I have to associate it with something else. Otherwise, what I have withdrawn from, the mind will go back to that. So if I drop attachments to home, etc., then what should I do? Increase the satsang. Vanaprastha also one has to do that. It's not just going into the forest. It is withdrawing from worldly things and attaching more to satsang. So sangha satsu vidhiyatam. So what is satsang? Literal meaning of satsang is company of sat. Sat sang. What is the meaning of sat? Sat can mean the highest meaning is realized masters. People who have realized the truth. Company of such people. But they are very rare. How to find them? Suppose we can't find them, then what to do? Find seekers who are striving to walk the path. Keep company of such people. In the world also we see the kind of company we keep that will determine what we will achieve. It's very important to keep company of people who are positive, encouraging, who aid us in reaching our goal, not those who condemn us, criticize us, or distract us, or take us away from the goal, make us more lazy, lethargic. Company of people is very, very crucial. Few moments of Dussanga, Manthra got. Kaikeyi got. And what happened? Full Ramayana happened. Few moments. That's why Naradji says, Dussanga sarvatha eva tyajya. In Narad Bhakti Sutra, he says that the Dussanga should be dropped completely. So company of wise people, the realized people, company of seekers. If I can't find both, or even if I find both, I can read lives of saints and the literature, because their life, how they have transformed, can inspire us a lot. They were also like anyone else. But how they have struggled, what are the challenges, how they overcame, those things help a lot. Sat also means positive thoughts. So to keep company of positive thoughts always, not to allow negativity to come into mind. With many people, what happens? They do self-condemnation, criticize themselves, look down upon themselves. Constantly they are thinking, I am not good enough, I am not adequate, I can't do this, I can't do that. And they victimize themselves. Not to do that and to do the opposite. To victimize oneself, that person who is victimizing oneself is very reluctant, will not set goals, will not take risk, will always blame other people, will always find faults and think negative. Victim. And who is a hero? Who is strong, who doesn't victimize oneself, who sets goals, who works hard, who doesn't have fear of facing obstacles, who always takes charge, saying, whatever I'm going through is my responsibility in my head. Outside circumstance can be anything, but how I respond is my choice. So with young people, we make them do one simple exercise. Now lift your hand like this, hold your hand like this, and draw one round dot on this thumb. With your pen, draw a round dot. Round, fill it up with that color, whatever color it is. Victims will always blame. You are the person, this government, this mother-in-law, that planet, this thing, that is the cause of my trouble. Heroes will say it is up to me. And when they look at the round dot, they see that that round dot is symbol of my perfection, my potential. And it is up to me how I face my life. So if at all the mind comes into that situation of self-condemnation, always see that dot. Always say it is up to me, not anyone else outside. So one has to take charge like that. And that I am really in the company of Sat, my mind. Externally, I may be in the company of the best people, even realized people. But if in my mind I'm thinking negative, it is useless. You saw na, that Jivan Mukta Lakshana. In that you saw na, what happens to the Agami karma of the Jivan Mukta. The negative karma of that Jivan Mukta, the Papa karma of Jivan Mukta comes to these critics who are constantly thinking negative. It will go to them. So even if they are in company of realized masters, what do they get? Papa only they will get. Good people will get punya, no doubt. If you are like that person, you will get papa. If you are like this person, you will get punya. Simple, it is up to me all the time. If you think about it, one exercise you can do in a day, how many times do you victimize yourself? Ask or observe. Every time you victimize yourself, make some note. And see, in a day, how many times we victimize this person, that thing, this situation. I keep blaming so many people, so many things. Yeah, this is not in my control. That's why all this is happening. I don't want to do anything. Mind goes through all ups and downs. To bring that mind out of it and still remain in the positive state, that is sadhana. That is satsang. So sangha satsu vidhiyatam. And ultimately, when the mind is positive, that mind alone can contemplate. A mind which is negative, pessimistic, cannot focus on the self. Why it cannot focus on the self? Because negativity, pessimism is such a thing that it will not allow me to go beyond the mind. Rajoguna and Tamoguna doesn't allow me to go beyond mind. Sattva Guna will allow me to go beyond mind. Sattva Guna will be positive thinking. Hence, satsang, sangha satsu vidhiyatam. Seek the company of wise people. And how does one get this satsang? By God's grace, first and foremost, and one's own punya karma. Binu satsanga vivek na hovi, Rama kripa binu sulabha na soi. Without the grace of Bhagwan, the satsang will not come only into our life. And this company of wise people and seekers, that gives us a lot of strength because they are the proof that what the scripture is saying is true. Otherwise, what is the proof of the scriptural declaration, which is a very, very subjective science? Atma is beyond body, mind, intellect. How to know? Until some master we come across, we won't know only. Happiness is not outside, it is within us. Not as a state of mind, but as the state of self. How to know? Turiya avastha is there, Samadhi avastha is there. How to know any of that? That Sapta Jnana Bhumika that we saw, who is the proof of that? Only a living person, a Jivan Mukta is the proof of that. So to keep company of such people is satsang, and that gives tremendous strength. As of now, my sangha is what? Deha sangha, Vishaya sangha, Vishayi sangha. Three things. I think of myself as the body. Constantly I need objects. And my mind is keeping company of people also who are indulgent. And one is very comfortable in these. Deha, Vishaya, Vishayi. Nisanga from that. Satsanga will help to detach from that. In the Bhaja Govindam, what did Shankaracharya ji write? Satsangatve Nisangatvam. Detach from all these. Now, what if these people are my own family members? Mentally, I can detach in some of the ways of indulgence and some of the ways of living and thinking. Physically, I don't need to. But If I feel I need to, then that's a different matter. But mentally, I can definitely reduce the involvement or cut it out. So, Sangha Satsu Vidhiyatam. And if I'm doing satsang, what is the sign of progress there? One of the important thing is bhakti must increase. If satsang I am doing regularly and bhakti has not increased, there is some problem. Meaning I'm not doing satsang properly. No, but what if I'm following only Vedanta Marg? Then why should bhakti increase? Are Vedanta and bhakti different? Does Vedanta not tell us to have bhakti? Ishvara bhakti is there, Guru bhakti is there, Shastra bhakti is there, is all there. Some people have that notion. No, I am following Vedanta. I don't believe in all bhakti and all that as emotional senti stuff. They call it senti stuff. Very good. You don't have any sorrow in life. You don't feel experience of happiness in life. You don't feel excited. You don't feel anger. What is that stuff? That is human stuff. All kinds of weird notions people have. Human stuff. This is what makes me human. So bhakti also makes us human to divine only. What else? Somehow people have this false notion that those who do bhakti are weak people. Those who cry in front of God, they are weak people. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say that in the world people cry for wealth, power, position, people. How many cry for God? Those who cry for God are blessed people. Majority doesn't cry only for God. And Gurudev used to say that those tears are the most purifying ones. They will destroy a lot of vasanas. What we say in Samadhi Avastha, so many vasanas get destroyed in Vedanta. That same thing will happen in Bhakti, tears of devotion. No difference at all. The difference is all in our head only. So if I am going to satsang, all the three must increase actually. Jnana must increase, Bhakti must increase, Seva must increase. All the three should increase. If these three are not increasing, that means somewhere I am not getting full benefit or I am not understood properly. Knowledge must increase, meaning, correct Swamiji, I have read Tattva Bodh over, Bhajgovindam over, Atma Bodh over, Upadeshar over. Now this advanced Vedanta course getting over. Knowledge is increasing. No, that is book knowledge. Which knowledge has to increase? The knowledge of my identity that I am Brahman. That thought process inside has to change. That is not changing. I am still Jiva only, but I have completed all the books. That is not knowledge increasing. So knowledge has to increase, bhakti has to increase. One must feel more and more that Bhagavan alone is the Karta. I am not the Karta at all. He is the Karta, he is the Bhokta, he is the Karma Phaladata, he is the Karma Adhyaksha. Everything is by his will alone. My Purushartha also is Bhagavan's will only. No, that I cannot accept. Okay, take your time. That's what Bhagavan told Arjuna in the Gita also. Nimitta matramava savyasachin maya eva nihata purvameva. I already killed them. You just do the action. And if you don't do, somebody else will anyway do. Rite pitvam na bhavanti sarve. So don't think that by your going away into the forest, these people will escape. Nothing. You go to the forest, go and suppress your mind, somebody else will come and kill them. Because their karma is such that they deserve to be killed. Surrender. Bhakti, when it increases, this attitude that without me nothing happens or self-importance, all that reduces. One sees everything only as a play of the Lord. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he used to do, at a point when in his sadhana, he used to talk to Mother Kali. Everything he will do only with the permission of Mother Kali. Totapuri Maharaj came in his life to teach him how to go from form to formless. And Ramakrishna used to be very excited. You know, there is that Panchavati near the Dakshineshwar temple. Panchavati is there. That's like a small forest type of a thing. Some sadhus would pass by. He would be very excited to go and meet these sadhus. You see, he himself is a great sadhu, but he will still be very excited to go and meet. So he would go with a lot of childlike enthusiasm. He would go meet the sadhus and practice all different sadhanas. He will learn from them. So one time this Totapuri Maharaj came, not as a passing sadhu. He came specifically to teach Ramakrishna to go beyond form. So Ramakrishna, he called. He says, you have been doing sadhana. I will teach you how to go beyond form. He said, wait, I have to ask permission from my mother. He said, which mother? He said, you don't know mother? My mother, Ma Kali. I have to ask permission from Ma Kali. He said, there is no mother and all that. There's only one Brahman. Come, I will teach you. He says, no, wait. I will go. I will ask permission. I will come. He goes to the temple and he says, Ma, this Totapuri Maharaj has come. He's telling me to go beyond form. He will tell me about Brahman. Should I go? He's asking. Mahakali says, go. So he goes back to Totapuri Maharaj and says, my mother has given permission. Now you teach me. He was like that. Every single thing he will do only after permission from Mother Kali. Otherwise, anybody would jump at it, no, saying, Acha, from form to formless, chalo, sikhao. No sense of I. Whatever it is my Mother Kali's grace only. That is called devotion, full devotion. So that devotion has to increase. If I am doing satsang regularly, my devotion, did it increase or not? Do I feel the presence of the Lord or not? Inside my heart, around me, everywhere. Then bhakti has strengthened. Then satsang's result is this. So jnana, bhakti, vairagya and seva, these must increase. Now something very nice I saw about bhakti. When some things are special, it is sorrow. When one thing is special, it is deep misery. When one thing is everything, it is sheer torture. When nothing is special, all is joy. When everything is special, all is supreme love. That is devotion. Everything is special. There is nothing is special and everything is special, actually same. There is no difference. Nothing is special meaning no one particular attachment. If there is no one particular attachment, then what will happen? Everything is joy only. Everything is bhakti. It is all manifestation of Bhagavan, including this BMI. So that bhakti should increase in us. So Sangha Satsu Vidhiyatam Bhagavato Bhaktir Dridhadhiyatam, and it should become firm. Firm devotion. How will devotion become firm? Only by listening to Katha will it become firm? No. Listening to Katha, Bhagavan will enter into our heart. It will become firm only with my continuous sadhana. Choose the form of the Lord, choose a relationship with the Lord, choose the name of the Lord, and every single day connect to the Lord through that. Otherwise, bhakti cannot come. It will not increase. From satsang to satsang, if we keep going, in between if we don't do the sadhana, then bhakti doesn't increase. But that sadhanas have to be done. So next class when you come, on the group I will put a list. You have to bring those things. We will do puja. We will learn puja. I told you we will learn different sadhanas now in this. So we learn simple puja. How we can do puja in 20 minutes every day. Simple puja steps we will learn. So I will put a list. You bring that. And a class after that we will learn japa. So puja, japa, chanting we are already doing. We'll go along. As we go along, some more sadhanas we will learn. So bhakti strengthens only when we do these sadhanas. Like people who do Ekadashi Vrat or Sankashti Upvas or Pradosh, Navratra, all that. So that will strengthen bhakti. Vrata is a very, very important way to strengthen. People who go to Shabrimala, 40 days Vrata they will take. Now that they have made shortcuts in that also. We people are very good in making shortcuts. And our culture being flexible, na, so happily we make. A 40-day Vrata has now become 2 weeks. There are people who do 40 day also. Then there are people who do only 2 weeks. Same way, Ekadashi also. You see, every single Ekadashi I must do. Minimum, how many Ekadashis will be there? 24 will be there. But what our culture says, no? Vaikunta Ekadashi, if you do, you will get punya of all. Look at that simplification from 24 to 1. But there are devotees who do proper Ekadashi every month. So we have to do those things. If we don't do those upvas, vrata, japa, puja, dhyan, all that, then the bhakti doesn't strengthen. Just by reading books, if bhakti was getting strengthened, then to no problem at all. Very fast we can develop bhakti. Gurudev used to say to develop the head is very easy. To develop the heart, very difficult. So logic, if somebody says, I'm a big intellectual, okay, very good. It's not a big deal. Little logic you learn, you can become an intellectual. But cleanse this heart, na? To purify this heart, to feel for Bhagavan, that is hard work. That requires, one should go beyond body identification, constant sadhana, attitudinal change, all that. So Bhagavato Bhakti Dridha Diyatam, strengthen that bhakti. So what is the nature of that bhakti? Gurudev used to define nature of love is identification with the beloved, where the two become one. Devotee and the Lord. That attitude is there in the beginning, then that I lose, the devotee loses the existence, God alone remains. That is true devotion. So here is a very nice video of Gurudev, very, very humorous one.
Devotion means love. Love is a kind of devotion. What is devotion? A kind of love. He both are the same. Prema, love, bhakti, devotion. Why two words for the same thing? That is absurd. In no language you got two names and the meaning the same. There's some difference. What is the difference between love and devotion? Think. You all know what is love, isn't it? I love my dog. I love my chapel. I love my wife. You say these all the three in one sentence. There will be a great commotion in the family for the next 1 week. But the idea is right. I love my dog. You're right. Do you love the chapel? I do. I love the chapel. And wife? Yes, I love. Don't you think it's something? Nobody says that I am devoted to my dog. Except a few. No decent husband would say. No decent husband would say that I am devoted to my wife. I love my wife, right? But not devoted. But you are devoted to your parents, devoted to your teacher, devoted to art, devoted to my profession, okay? Devoted to my country, devoted to that philosophy, political or philosophical, devoted to the ideal, right? But I love my dog, I love my horse, I love my motorcycle, I love. You don't say that I am devoted to my motorcycle. Think of the difference. What is the difference? The emotion remaining the same. Love and devotion. The emotion remaining the same. When the emotion of love is towards something lower, I call it love. And the same emotion, when it is towards something higher, we call it. Don't accept, I told you. I think you are sitting down and accepting. Don't accept. When the emotion of devotion or love is for a lower, it is called LOVE. I love this, I love that, I love chocolate also, I love blue color, I love blue color, I love everything, blah, 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 blah. But devotion is only when the same emotion is lifted to an altar higher. Now, in all languages of the world, all of you when you are teenagers, you must have gone through one or two experiences of what you generally call all over the world. I fell in love. Anybody who has never fallen in love, miserable man. At least now go and fall one. I fell in love. Is there a definition in every language? What do you mean by fall in love? Sorry, till yesterday I was a carefree, happy, jolly, good man. And yesterday evening in the temple I saw her. Then what happened? That means what? Simple and fall. I have fallen in my poise, balance, inner happiness. I seem to have gone into confusion. I don't know now whether I will be able to marry her, whether my parents will help me, how will I marry, whether if I marry, now I let look after her, and how will I look after her, where is the money for it, and I have no job at all, I am unemployed and unemployable. All the sorrows come to your mind. Then you say, I have fallen in love. Falling in love is called love, but rising in love is called devotion. When you become devoted to some ideal, you start developing your personality. Your little stature grows. So to rise in love is called devotion. So when I have got a goal, a symbol there to symbolize my beloved Lord, and when I tune up my mind to Him in devotion, I cultivate or develop my faculties more and more if I am sincere.
This is like an all-time favorite video. How many times you see also is very inspiring. So that symbol which will allow us to rise in love, that is called devotion. So one should cultivate that attitude that who is my Ishtadevata and then focus on that. So bhaktir dhidadhiyatam. So when love is directed to the one in the many, it is called bhakti. The meaning of the word bhakti is, it comes from the word bhaj, means to serve, to love, to know. To love the Lord, if I love someone, then I want to do something for them. So that is seva. And the more I know, the more will be that love that will increase. So all three will go together actually. So I have to learn about the Lord also. Suppose Shivji is my Ishtadevata, I should read Shiv Puran. If Krishna is my Ishtadevata, read Bhagavatam. Devi, read Devi Bhagavatam. Ganesh ji, read Ganesh Puran. You see, the depth of our culture is unfathomable. I have not seen any other culture having this much amount of depth. That so much options are there. For every Devata, there is one Grantha also which is there, and read that literature, and then there's a life of saints of that Devata also. Then there are temples of all the Devatas also. For Shivji, there is a Jyotirling. For the Devotees of Vishnu, there are the Divya Desham. For Shakti, there are some 50 plus Shakti Peeths. Ganeshji, there is what? Ashtavinayak. Like that, you see every deity, there is such a solid system in place. Temple is there, sadhanas are there, vratas are there for the devta, knowledge is there, opportunity to serve is there, everything is there, proper system, and one can follow. So that is called bhakti. Now, why do I need bhakti? Very important is when we brood, now there is only two options, like Gurudev said, the love in the heart directed towards the Lord, that is bhakti. If I don't have bhakti, my mind is going to brood over sense objects, pleasures, people. It will pull me down. So think of the divine, that will be uplifting. Think of the sense object, it will make me perish. So bhakti is very important for that. Bhakti also brings security in our heart. That truly who protects us is only the Lord. Yes, there are other things which have some functional relevance. House can give us physical security. Money can give financial security. People can give some, social security. But by themselves, these are temporary, perishable. Who is the one who actually takes care of us? Is the Lord alone. The Gita Bhagavan says very nicely, Suhridam sarva bhutanam nyatva mam shantim gacchati. When a person realizes this, that I am the Suhrid. Suhrid means one who does good to you even without you doing anything for that person. Mitra means one who does good in return. Suhrid means who is your well-wisher, who does good even without you doing anything for them. Bhagavan is like that. Whether one believes in the Lord or not, the Lord will still take care. And so Gurudev used to say that an atheist is able to say I am an atheist only by grace of God. If God does not enliven his buddhi and his mind and his body, we can't even say I am an atheist. So all people are taken care of by the Lord, and he is the real source of security. If the Lord is there in our mind and intellect, nothing to worry, no fear at all. Vasudevji carried Bhagavan in the basket, keeping him on the head, and he crossed the Jamuna, which was in floods. He did not have any fear. Why? Bhagavan is there, he will take care. Bhagavan told me, take me there, I am taking. Whether Jamuna will give way or he has to go in through the water, he doesn't care. He will just go. That is fearlessness of the devotee. Prahlad, did he even doubt once? Vishnu Bhagavan is sleeping. What if he doesn't take care of me? No doubt in his mind. Every single time when Hiranyakashipu is trying to kill him, no doubt in his head, he doesn't feel that, Bhagavan protected me 3 times, but this time he will protect nothing. So devotee becomes very fearless. And it is not that challenges don't come in the life of a devotee. Lots of challenges come. Even sometimes survival becomes difficult. But they don't lose their faith in the Lord. That's the security. So one becomes secure, one becomes fearless. One knows all the time that the Lord is with me. I am not alone. You see, today so many things that one is going through. One of the reasons is one is not connected to the Lord. In this country, some time back, there was still so much of faith, devotion, and connection to the Lord. Today it is eroding like anything. So what is the result of that? People are going through depression, suicidal tendencies, anxiety, for nothing. Why? Because they are not connected to the Lord. Greatest of troubles one can get through when one knows that Bhagavan is with me. But when there is no anchor, that which is permanent, I don't believe in that Lord. And that which is temporary, I have put all my love and emotions and faith in that temporary. And obviously that temporary is perishable. Or they will not be able to support adequately, or they will backstab also. Then one says, I got disillusion. That is the correct treatment. Because with the temporary, if I hold on to, that is foolishness. Leaving the permanent, if I'm holding on to the temporary, it is foolishness. If a wood, a wooden piece is floating in the water and you are drowning, what will you hold on to? A wooden piece which is floating or a stone which is drowning? Wooden piece only, no? Common sense it is. But in the world, we are to drowning in samsara. Other people are also drowning. Two people who are drowning catch each other. What will happen? All will drown. Then we'll say there is no God. Are you didn't hold on to God? I had that experience once. I told you, no, once rafting when we did. First time when I went to rafting up, we fell into the water in the rapids. Then we said, Chalo, Ganga Maya is calling us out up now. That trainer had told us that become flat, lie on the head, put the feet in the front so that your head is saved. It doesn't go and bang on a rock. So I became flat. The moment I became flat, the other three people who had fallen down with me, they caught hold of me. Now all four of us down. So this is only that example, but in the world we are doing that only. Everybody catching to each other, whole world drowning completely, but not bothering to hold on to Bhagwan. Bhagwan is saying, Arey, come on, give your hand. No, I don't believe in God. Drown. I don't want to drown. Arey, common sense, na it is, but we hold on to name, fame, power, money, people. Hold on to them only and ignore God. Puja, japa, etc. If time permits, I will do Swamiji. Right? I have to send my child to school. I have to send my husband to office. Then I have to go for kitty party. Then I have this marriage to attend. Now marriage season has started. If time permits, we will do. And while morning I go for walk, that time automatically I am putting on that Gayatri mantra and I am chanting and I am walking. My sadhana is over. That's all. So one has to prioritize that what is it that I really want. My connection to Bhagwan has to be the strongest. Rest of it will come after that. Ramakrishna's example is very nice. When you are working in the world, you hold on to God with one hand and you work with one hand. And when you finish your work, hold on to God with both hands. Our example is Ulta. When we are working in the world, we have forgotten Bhagwan. And when work is over, we are holding on to something else. Where is Bhagwan? Not in the picture only. Only when some problem happens, I may go to Bhagwan if I believe. Otherwise, which God, what God, no God at all. Bhagavato Bhakti Dridhadhiyatam. So every single day, before work starts, that was our culture. Before work starts, men and women, both of them used to strengthen their devotion to God, then enter into the world. Again, Ramakrishna's example is if you enter into a wrestling match, then what do? You apply oil, no? If one applies oil, then that opponent cannot grip you, catch you. He used to say, apply the oil of devotion and then enter into the world. Maya cannot catch you. Otherwise, Maya will catch you and bash you down. The strange thing is, after getting bashed also, I'm not applying oil. Every single day, I'm going without oil. And the best thing to do is in the beginning of the day. Why? Because mind is still not got extrovert. Once the phone starts, extrovertedness is in 1 minute, immediate extrovertedness. You just see your mind before, as soon as you get up. What is the state of mind? Take bath, sit quietly, see the state of mind, how it will be. And then take the phone. If you put those electrodes on the head and check now, suddenly there will be increased brain activity the moment you see the phone. Why? Because then it starts. The whole samsara comes through that phone and one starts. So before any work starts, what should I do? Sit in the puja room, do the meditation, do the japa, do puja, whatever I want to do, and strengthen that bhakti, then go inside the world. Otherwise, the world will take over every single day, bash us up, gone. The grace of Bhagwan only, where else it will come from? I told you, satsang comes from grace of Bhagwan, from that only bhakti will come. And once that bhakti is there, then they would have definitely done something to nurture it. Reading the scripture is only one means. And they must have done that in some life earlier. The point of reading the scripture is to strengthen my devotion and faith for the Lord, and for it to not become fanatical. That's all. So I need not read the scripture in this life. It would have happened sometime before for sure. But mainly bhakti comes by satsang, and bhakti comes by one's own punya karma, no doubt. If both these are there, then satsang comes, then bhakti comes. A candle can be lit only with another candle. So bhakti comes only from a heart which is already ignited with bhakti. Simply reading books will not give bhakti. If you are reading about saint's life, the life of that saint is already a lit candle. And if I really am touched by it, it will come. So it will be like that. It just doesn't come only by reading books. See, effortless because they have already put effort before. It's like simple, na? Driving. When you are learning driving, then it is great effort. Once you have mastered it, then to effortlessly you drive it. It's like that in bhakti also. The person has put effort before. No God is sitting up there saying, now I bless you, now it will become effortless, and now you better struggle. That distinction Bhagavan is not doing there. As per one's karma, definitely, but grace of the Lord brings all types of people to experience devotion. At some point or the other, it will come. Now, what is my relationship with the Lord? These are the three levels. All the three are Vedanta, okay? Many people think only Advaita is Vedanta. No, Dvaita is also Vedanta because it's there in the end portion of the Veda. Dvaita Vedanta, Vishishta Advaita Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. So everybody begins with the Dvaita Vedanta only. In what sense? Not just as a philosophy, but as an identification. If I think I am the body, then the bhav should be the Lord is the master, I am the servant. Meaning I am a jiva, Bhagavan is the Lord. I am jiva, he is Jagadishwara. Now whichever relationship I may have, son, daughter, friend, anything. But he is the Lord, I am the jiva. So that is Dvaita. Vishishta Dvaita is then when the identification shifts from the body level to the mind and intellect level, where I see myself as a jiva, and I am a jiva who is going from one body to another. Then I am a part and God is the whole. So the qualities of the whole are in the part. Bhagavan has Ichcha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti. We also have Ichcha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti. Bhagavan has Jnana, Vairagya, Aishwarya, Vidya, Shri, Yasha. We also have. But our quantity is very limited. Bhagavan's quantity is unlimited. And then when I identify with the self, then God and I are essentially one. Either one will move from Dvaita to Vishishta Dvaita to Advaita, or in whichever philosophy, if one reaches the culmination, one will come to absolute oneness only. A Dvaita Vedantin who completely surrenders to the Lord, saying, Bhagavan, you alone are everything, I am zero, I am nobody. Then that person will come to Advaita only. Need not pass through Vishishta Advaita and then come. But if one says that no, I and God are eternally different, then the Dvaita Vedanta has a limitation. If you say God will be always separate from me, I will always be separate, maximum liberation is come close to God, spend some time and be his servant. Then there is a limitation in the thinking there. Because truly what we saw, the definition of love is what? When the identification with the beloved is there and the two become one, that is love. No true lover will want to remain separate from the beloved all the time. Will want to be one. So that way, these are the stages. This we have to strengthen. Bhagavato Bhakti Dridadhiyatam. One is the strengthening through sadhana, the feeling part. Other is the my identity. How do I relate to Bhagavan? At the Dvaita level, Vishishta Dvaita level, or Advaita level? How do I connect? Hanumanji told him at all the three levels. At body level, Deha Buddhya Dasosmi, Jiva Buddhya Tvadamshaha, Atma Buddhya Tvamevaham. So it's possible to relate to the Lord at all three levels also. Depends on how we connect. Bhagavato Bhakti Dridadhiyatam. And this relationship is the only absolute relationship. Every other relationship is temporary, is only relative. Mother, father, son, daughter, friend, sibling, employer, every other relationship is temporary. Meaning, in this life it is there, may not be there in the next life. In this life also it may not be there for full life, it may be there only for a short time. For that relative relationship, what am I sacrificing? The absolute relationship. That one should think about. That with the Lord, the relationship is absolute. The same Lord is there with me even when I drop the body, go into the next body. The Lord is the same all the time. And I'm not cultivating that relationship. So cultivate a definite relationship. All these examples we have seen earlier. That how each one cultivated a different attitude predominantly. So it depends on what is my predominant feeling. One old lady went to Ramakrishna saying that, I am not able to concentrate on the Lord because from the time this grandchild is born, I am very much attached to this grandchild. So I am not able to do anything, no sadhana, no japa, nothing. So Ramakrishna said, who is your Ishta Devata? She said, Krishna is my Ishta Devata. So he told her, treat your grandson as Balakrishna. Whatever you do to that grandson, think that you are doing for Krishna alone. So one relationship, emotionally especially where I have a strong connection, that relationship I should connect to with the Lord. Bhagavato Bhakti Dridadhiyatam. Then Shantyadi Parichayatam. Cultivate sixfold virtues. What are these sixfold virtues? These. Shama, mind control, Dama, sense control, Uparama, withdrawal, Titiksha, forbearance, Shraddha, faith, Samadhan, absorption of the mind. This we have done somewhere, no? You remember? In which course? Huh? Oh God, now Sadhan Chatushta, it is there, no? Samadhi, Shatka, Sampatti, those are these. So, Shantyadi Parichayatam. Dridhataram Karmashu Santyajyatam. Drop all actions which are not conducive for the spiritual growth. Drop all actions is not possible. Completely actionless I cannot become as long as body is there. But I can drop all actions which are not conducive for spiritual growth. Drop all lethargy, prohibited action, selfishness, all these. Now they may rise because of some past vasanas. One cannot fight saying, no, they should not even rise. They may come. There may be a tendency to tell some lies, or there may be a tendency to do something selfish. By past karma, some desire will come in the mind. Not to act on it and to reject that firmly at the desire level itself. That is called Dridhataram Karmashu Santyajyatam. Especially those which are prohibited karmas. What we have seen, no? Nishiddha karma. Nishiddha karma and Kamya karma should be reduced and then eliminated. That I have to do. Because somewhere or the other, the mind makes us compromise. It may be in anything. It may be in food, where I know this is not good for me, I may still eat. It may be in sleep, it may be in speaking, it may be in some other enjoyment, anywhere. Why? Because this will make me feel weak. This will destroy my potential. Those actions which are prohibited, which are not good for the spiritual growth, will take me in the opposite direction. So we saw that even in the first verse. Papaugha paridhuyatam. That wash away these sins. Kamya matis tyajyatam also we saw. So those things one has to do. So dridhataram, and firmly. Suppose I know that this is not good for my growth, but firmly say no. No, but I do it for people, No need. Our duty is more for the Lord, not for the people. But in the name of people only we do it. Half of the things we do in the name of people, that is actually not for the people. It is for me only. In the name of people, I am doing it. Because there's a craving inside. And now I don't want to take that responsibility. I'm doing it for me. So I will say what? I'm doing it for them. I don't want to eat sweet. I have diabetes, suppose one says. And then they will come and serve sweet. Then 2 times you say, no, I don't want. 3rd time they will say, chalo tamare mate khai lo. Why? If they give poison, will you say that? Tamare mate khai lo chu. For you I will take. No. And the people also are like that. What you tell them, don't send, no, they will send that only. Then our, what do you call, mind is tested. Ki bhai, khaoge, nahi khaoge, and then every time you see him, no. One battle goes on in our head because of their stupidity. Don't send it. They will send. स्वामीजी एक समोसा मोकल्यो छे एक तो खाई शकाय अरे નથી ખાવું પણ fried food one doesn't want to eat but એક મૂક્યું છે just તમને મન થાય તો અરે શું કામ પણ you should help me to do my sadhana not break my sadhana. If I eat fried food you should tell Swamiji don't eat. उल्टा થોડું ખાઈ લો and that every day થોડું happen so 7 days fried food will happen then. That's how it starts and then we say they have made it with so much of love and devotion. Oh, very good. Show your love and devotion in helping in my sadhana. Not. I'm just giving one example. This story is still manageable example. There are people who do all kinds of alcohol, drugs, this, that. All friends are doing, what is that called? Snorting. So I will also do. Arey, why? No, they will call me Bachcha. Let them call Bachcha. They are actually Bachcha. They are doing all these kind of things. You are a man who is saying, no, I will not do it. That requires strength. But how many things we keep doing? Knowingly also one will do it. So, dridhataram karmashu santyajyatam. Then comes very important. One was satsang. Now he specifically said, sad vidvan upasrapyatam. Go to the Sadguru. If I want Brahma Gyan, Sadguru is required. There is no other solution. Books and all cannot give Brahma Gyan and one should not even attempt it. Attempt it meaning one may have come across some books read by oneself, but one will not understand it properly until one comes to learn it properly. Either a Shrotriya or a Shrotriya plus Brahmanishta. This also we have learned in that chapter, Guru Upasadana chapter, that we need a teacher. Sadvidvan upasrupyatam. Very clearly it is said, Acharyavan Purusho Veda. And if a living guru is difficult to get, what should one do? Consider someone who is not in the physical form as the guru Because Guru is anyway not the form. Guru is Bhagavan only. Who else is the Guru? Nobody else can be the Guru. Bhagavan alone is the Guru. And Bhagavan will guide. Don't think that, how will I communicate to the Lord? That all kinds of doubts people have. Gurudev is not in the form, How do we connect to him? So you think he is limited by his form to connect? No, but I am limited by my form to connect. He will tell you from inside. If you tune up to the master, inside on the, the guidance comes. Outer form of the Guru is only to invoke the inner Guru. That's all. And the best is these people will give big example. Ekalavya, you know how he learned. So now you also learn. No, that was Ekalavya. I need a physical form. If you need a physical form, no, Bhagavan will come in a physical form. Don't worry. Till then, don't wait. When Bhagavan will come in physical form, then my sadhana will start. Keep somebody who you are inspired by, who is not in the physical form as the Guru, and start. If at all form is required, in a physical form also the Lord will bring. So we have to keep doing that work. You see, in Ramakrishna's life, that is one very beautiful thing. He did not go behind any Guru. All the Gurus came to him. From where all they came, he did not even know them, but they came searching for him. When Brahmani came to him, he learned 64 types of Tantra sadhana from her. Totapuri Maharaj also came. Nisargat Maharaj, no, here in Mumbai only. His Guru came from the Himalayas. He didn't have to go. He was running a provision stores in his house. The Guru knocked and came. And he says, can I stay in your house for 7 days? Till then, to no connection to anything before. He doesn't know that Guru. And after those 7 days, the Guru went. Again, he doesn't know what happened to that Guru. He has not been in touch with that Guru. But those 7 days he came, he did the satsang, and he had the faith that my Guru told me, I am not the body, I am not the body. Full stop. That's all. One of his most powerful books is I Am That. What a book. You see, those kind of things when we read, know that how these lives of these people are, and nothing much is written about him in that introduction. Very less is written, but the philosophy is so deep and powerful. It's Vedanta only. The Guru taught him that and he went. 7 days only. Can you imagine 7 days? So we don't have to run behind the Guru. Guru will come. So we have to develop that this thing. Here it is said Sadvidvan Upasrupyatam. In the sense what? That there is a need for a Guru. If you find a Guru, approach and then learn. If we don't find, keep cultivating discipleship, the right Guru will come. Then what to do? Tune up with that teacher. Sadvidvan Upasrupyatam Pratidinam Tatpaduka Sevyatam. Pratidinam it is said, every day. If the Guru is there, serve the Guru every day. That's a symbolic meaning. So that the tuning up happens with that teacher. Tapan Maharaj used to tell Gurudev, no? He used to wash clothes. Gurudev used to wash his clothes, and he used to go and bring Bhiksha. Tapan Maharaj told him, build a vegetable garden here. Many things he used to serve. Make roti sometimes. Imagine, both of them are Malayalis. And Gurudev has to make roti. When he makes the roti, Tapan Maharaj will tease him also. Okay, look at my prarabdha. And he will show the roti. Guru doesn't spare any opportunity to pulverize the ego. If the disciple feels ki chalo, I made roti, Guru will praise nothing. He may show what kind of prarabdha mine is. If the disciple is kacha, the disciple will say what a Guru is. He doesn't know how much effort I put. He is not praising also. I don't want to stay near such a Guru. I am going. Are you came to the Guru to boost your ego or burst your ego? Or what did you come? No, I'm human, I still need encouragement. Okay, then remain human. Guru is trying to make you divine, Baba. So tuning up with the teacher is very important. Ramakrishna used to treat, at one point, Ramakrishna, how he treated Vivekananda, complete ignoring. If you come across a teacher like that, who has taken you under your wings, who has taught you knowledge, who has given you all, love, devotion, knowledge, everything, and then the guru is treating you with complete indifference, there is a deep reason behind it. What is that? That guru wants you to become completely independent, drop the last attachment. The last attachment for a disciple is the guru. Vivekananda ji will bring water, Ramakrishna will look that side. He won't see him also. He will come this side, he will look there. And then somebody else will bring water, he will take from that, but he will not take from him. There's a very nice movie, Vivekananda. If you get that, it is there on YouTube, go and see it. G.V. Iyer he made. Who made Shankaracharya movie? No, same person made this, Vivekananda. 15th August 1998, it was telecast on Doordarshan. I remember because that is the day I went and joined Vedant course. So I didn't see the movie. 2 years after when I finished and came out, then I saw. What a movie. So beautifully made. So that is the thing. The guru will know, one has to tune up to the teacher with the service. Worship the Padukas means that not only just worship of the Padukas. That is one aspect which one can do daily. Paduka Puja has a lot of significance. In fact, next week when we are doing the Paduka, when the Puja we are doing, we will do the Paduka Puja. So if you don't have Padukas, then you inform Meghnaji right now. Right now, matlab after the class. So we will get extra Paduka, the small Padukas. Some of you we have given, some of you may not have, but the small Padukas you can keep in the plate and then worship. So Paduka. So Pratidinam Tat Paduka Sevyatam. So Guru means you know the meaning, remover of the darkness of ignorance. So what do the Padukas represent? Two Padukas, they represent the knowledge in which the master is established. And what would the master want us to do? He has woken up and he is awakening others. That is what the master wants us to do. Wake up to the self, and in that process to purify the mind, help others also to wake up. So one is that. Second is it represents devotion to the Lord and surrender to the Lord. Padukas are worn in the feet, and when one surrenders, the head bows down. So head is a symbol of ego. Paduka is a symbol of the knowledge. So one bows down in humility to the Lord, to the Sadguru. So the symbolism is humility and the values in which the master is anchored. So worship of the Padukas is not just a mechanical ritual. With that bhav, when one does that, I am worshipping the presence of the Guru, worshipping the very knowledge in which he is established, and invoking devotion, invoking surrender in my heart. And definitely it's a beautiful combination of the unconditional love of the master. The master loves unconditionally. In Shankaracharya's commentary in Mundaka Upanishad, he says that the love of the Guru is incomparable actually. It is more than the love of the parents of hundreds of lives. That is the love of a Guru towards the disciple. Imagine now, if we find one person to love us genuinely in life, which is a conditioned love, that itself we feel so much. This is unconditional love. And that kind of a Guru when one gets, then one leaves that Guru and runs behind the world. What a Durvagya it is. So it is really the unconditional love of the teacher, one Paduka. Other Paduka is hard hitting. The knowledge that the Lord, the Guru gives, hits the ego very hard. So both these, like a potter, with one hand he supports the pot from inside and from the outer hand he taps. That is the Padukas. So Pratidinam Tat Paduka Sevyatam. And finally, it is fulfillment and gratitude. Now we will end this session with this another very humorous video of Gurudev where he says, why do we worship the Paduka? Yeah. No difference. Lotus feet mean the same thing. The lotus feet meaning the detachment. Lotus is symbol of detachment. And lotus is symbol of full blossoming. Padukas also symbolize the same thing. The feet are worshipped when the master is in the physical form. When the master is not in the physical form, then the Padukas are worshipped. The Padukas which the master has worn especially, those are very, very powerful. So those are worshipped. But essentially the symbolism is the same. The knowledge in which the master is established is symbolized by both the feet and the Padukas.
Pratidinam, day by day, Paduka Sevyata, worship his Paduka. Paduka, his crown, his sandals. Why these sandals? No, Hinduism, honey. Touch the feet of the father, touch the feet of the mother, touch the feet of uncle. Namaskar kare. Why? It's a culture from childhood onwards. Every father and mother makes the child understand. Touch the do namaskar. This become a part and parcel of our culture. Why should I touch the feet of the other? What is it? Then what will you do? I will shake hands. Every culture has got its own symbols. In the Western world, to come with both hands open. Hi, great, you have come. I am so glad. This is their method because of the historicism. In the days of the Anglo-Saxon and earlier also, in the Western world, each one met the other only with an idea of killing. Open friendship was unknown to them. Barbarous people. Therefore, when I really want to express to you that I am coming friendly, I have no intention of it, I come with both the hands. No weapons in my hand. Even though no weapon, you don't believe. Maybe I have kept something in my hand. So I give you my hand to check up. And at the same time, I check up your hand also. And even when you got it, you got a feeling maybe something inside. I shake your hand, you shake your hand. It's something like nowadays in the airport, wherever you go, there is a man there who embraces you. It's not out of love. He's searching when you in the beginning, once or twice, I was feeling very ashamed because another man is loving me so much, searching and touching every part of me. Now only I know that he was searching whether I have got some gun or something. Now in the Middle East, that's the vision. You may not carry the hand, you may not keep it in the sleeve, it may be behind. Therefore they embrace and both of them do. In India it is not necessary. Why? We never had such event. It is a spiritual culture. Love is the core, and the only emotion that we had towards others. Therefore, when I met you, I said, Namaste. I will not touch you. I will not shake you. Namaste. Namaste means what? The spark of life in you. And the spark of life in you. These two spiritual essences one and the same. And to that one Almighty Lord, my namaskar. You may be a cheating. You may be living a low, vicious, sensuous life. It doesn't matter. However vulgar you may be, the spark of life in you. You are alive. You are touch of life. The spark of life in you is divine. So that you remember that. I also remember that in a sense we both are one and the same, the divine Lord expressing through equipments. With that lifted mind, lifted in that you bounce into that higher reality, we transact business. Namaste. When I love my father or admire and respect anyone, I admire and respect for one value or the other in which he is standing rooted. I am not respecting him because he has got a physical body, because I have also a body. I am not respecting him because of his emotions, because I have also emotions. I am not respecting him because of his intelligence, because I also have got intelligence. Then what am I respecting him for? Some value or the other in which he is standing rooted. My father, but for his love and consistent service to me, I would not have been what I am. I admire him because I admire this ideal that he has lived. He stood rooted in that ideal. Therefore I respect not his head, but I touch his feet in order to contact that ideal that he stands for. In democratic countries, we do it. The party gives the ticket to a certain individual in your town. You know that that individual is a drug addict, a drunkard, a wife beater. We know him as a dirty fellow. But he has been given the ticket with a party. I know he doesn't deserve, and yet I give my vote to him. Why? Not to him. It is for the platform, for the program he stands for. Don't you do that? Similarly, an individual may be vulgar in many cases, many things, but for that ideal that he has lived, from whom I am accepting or absorbing that ideal, we touch the feet. Thus the teacher, the Paduka Sevata, Paduka Seva, worship his sandals as Lakshmana had to. Rama won't go back to Ayodhya. So Lakshmana requested, please give me your Paduka. I will keep that Paduka, the sandals upon the throne, and I will sit down and worship it. And I will see that your ideals are the ideals in which I will be administering the country until you come back. On the 14th year, the last day, if you don't reach back Ayodhya, you shall come back to see my ashes in the foreground of the palace. I shall jump into fire. This is the way the devotion of that brother, and he gave the Paduka as a symbol. Today it is not the Paduka, it is a flag. Because paid soldiers are inspired by saying, fight for the flag, it is your flag, never let it down, die with the flag, and then with the flag in hand, the fellow goes and dies. Other politicians safely remain behind. Flag. In the same way, the Paduka is a symbol of the ideal that chills upon which the teacher stands rooted. The Paduka Severa, the Paduka is a symbol for the ideal that he stands for. Just as the cross, though it is a gallows of that time, is the most tragic equipment of human suffering, And it has become divine for the Christian life. Jesus sacrificed himself upon that instrument out of his infinite love for the sins of mankind. That symbol became very significant to the devotee. In the same way, the Guru or the teacher, the Paduka Seveda, worship and adore his foot.
So those who need padukas, please inform, and next week bring the items. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.